Hi, this is Mason. It's 11 o'clock in the morning in Syracuse, and we're live in the 315. Here's Brian Higgins.
Oh, Mason always knows what time it is. Week is officially underway. It's freaking cold outside. Bundle up, everyone. My goodness, it was negative like a billion this morning at the bus stop. Bus stop temperature negative 1 billion this morning. The Seahawks are Super Bowl champs from last night. The Olympics are going on. There's lots of skating and skiing and snowboarding and skiing and shooting a gun and all that good stuff. Hey, Kev is there, the halftime show. Like Bad Bunny with the halftime show. I thought it was perhaps the most visually arresting, like, live music video of all time. I'm aware of Bad Bunny. I know Bad Bunny is popular. I do not know, best I can tell after that, I did not know, and I do not know Bad Bunny's songs. What was that supposed to, like, Lady Gaga was there? Ricky Martin was there? I don't know, like, it was interesting to watch, you know? It's a little Latin-y, it's got a vibe, like, it's got a mojito, like, salsa dancing, like, a little vibe going on. I have no idea what it was. Like, I'm not mad at it. Some people are just egregiously mad at it. I had it, you know, I don't know what the songs were, couldn't sing along, but, it was fun. Like, I had a good time with it. There was a lot of grass, and there was a lot going on. Like, for the amount of effort and production work that went into that halftime show, like, kudos to them. That was a lot of work to pull all that off. Albeit, don't know what they were saying. We got to get a Taylor Swift halftime show at some point, right? Like, talk about everyone knows the songs and whatnot. I guess Kelsey's got to probably officially retire before that. Oh, hopefully T Swift will not get a halftime show sooner than later. You want to talk about somebody that'll, you know, a uniter, perhaps. I don't know. All right, here we go. We are live in the 315 here on this Monday. We got to do our new thing. We got to do our new thing that now starts off all our shows. We got to give you the opening menu presented by our friends at Thompson Road Tavern. Here is what we got today. Here is what we got today. So we're going to talk a little bit about what went down over the weekend. Orange basketball, they lost again, as does happen. They lost to Virginia. The Lax team blew out St. Joe's on Saturday. Women's basketball didn't make a field goal in the first quarter against number 6 Louisville yesterday. Actually rallied back into it, go figure. But not making a field goal in a quarter proved too much to overcome. Felicia Leggett-Jack was kind of impassionately defending Red without naming Red in her post-game press conference. That was something, so we'll get into that. Speaking of what she's defending against, our vicious segment, Who's Next? Oh, we're going to go with the absurd Who's Next today. We'll get to that sooner than later. Red, speaking of him, he is scheduled to be on the ACC Weekly Zoom at 11:30 today, 11:30. So we'll try to nestle him into the middle of the program here this morning, and then we'll do a little bit of No Wrong Answers, getting you ready for Syracuse and Cal and the fighting Chris Bells coming in from Berkeley on Wednesday night. So all that good stuff upcoming here over the course of the next hour. As you know, link is pinned top of the chat if you would like to join the show at any point, so we can make that happen as well. So lots of good options for you here on this Monday. It's our Thompson Road Tavern opening menu. They are also sponsoring we're calling it now the weekly menu. Every Monday I tweet out and put on all the social medias and everything our schedule for the week. And guess what? That we're calling it a menu now. Why? Because a menu is a list of things, you know, it makes sense. So we got a busy week here. We're here today. Wednesday we got post game for Cuse and Cal. Thursday we're double dipping live in the 315. A potentially, stay tuned on this. Talk about things like when you have to schedule your dentist appointment 6 months ahead of time and you're scheduling it before apparently on the day of a show that you hadn't even created yet. So I got a dentist appointment at 10 on Thursday. Usually, the timing I'm in and out there, they usually get me in and out reasonably quick. These pearly whites, they don't take all day to work on. So I'm thinking we're gonna get started right at 11. But don't you think we may be eluding the law on the way home from the dentist to make sure we're here on time to go on Thursday. Jordan and I will do TPS report on Thursday night. Friday night, 1v2 in Lax. Yes, sir. Maryland, number 1 in the country, is coming to the Dome. Syracuse has ascended to number 2 in the recent poll that came out this morning. 1v2 in the Dome, 6 o'clock on Friday evening. We're going to rock a post-game show for that, lacrosse style. Then Saturday, Syracuse SMU, tip at 4, I do believe, in the Dome. And we will do a post-game show after that. So we're just, it's a busy weekly menu brought to you by the Thompson Road Tavern. Speaking of their menu, how about this for a special today at the Thompson Road Tavern? Where did I put it? I got it in the tab here. It's Monday. On Mondays, they have a Nashville hot chicken sandwich at the Thompson Road Tavern for $5. 5. And on this cold, frigidly cold Monday, they also have homemade chicken noodle soup. They are open right now. They opened 8 minutes ago. They opened right when this show started because they know what's good. They opened at 11. There we are, opening menu brought to you by our friends at the Thompson Road Tavern. Great to have them aboard with us here. So, with that, let's get into it. Yeah, we had the Super Bowl last night. The Super Bowl itself wasn't great. Seattle's defense was fantastic. That was the story of the game. I wish we got more defensive Super Bowl MVPs from games like that. Like I always thought, I was wearing my Super Bowl 42 hoodie the other day. I always thought that Justin Tuck should have been the MVP of the first Giants win over the Patriots. And realistically I don't even remember what defender it should have been in the second one. Last night, I don't know which Seattle defender you pick, but you almost have to come together and pick one. Kenneth Walker had a fine game, but the MVP of that game was Seattle's defense. They were great. The halftime show, visually intriguing. Me no parle español. So I don't know what Bad Bunny was saying, but he did it with style, and yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I watched it. What am I going to do? Not watch it? Yeah, it was fine. And the game itself was a kind of a snoozer, but good on our guy Mike Tirico getting his first Super Bowl under his belt. He was great. So there we are. The Super Bowl. I mean, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. You're going to watch it one way or another, regardless of how it goes down. So we like that yesterday. Now we go football free until late August into September. I feel a little itchy. We're football free. Ooh, Red. We're football free. We don't got anything else to do, Red. We're football free. We're all in now, Red. We're football free. We got nothing else to do, which means it's time here because we got Red coming up, scheduled 11:30. We got to get this going a little bit faster than normal here on a Monday. Let's get into the series where we look beyond what is going to happen over the course of the next month for Syracuse basketball.
Mason here. It's time to continue our search for the next Syracuse basketball head coach. With today's candidate, here's Brian.
I turned off my mic. What a disastrous start because we're vibing to the music. We're vibing to the owl and the music, the Who's Next music. It's hip. Yeah, there we go. All right, so as I've told you, I got to jot down on my pad who we're doing today. As I've told you here on the list of who's next, we've have like the first two we did Jerry and Matt Langel. Will either of those be the next head coach of Syracuse? I don't know, but I think they will both should be legitimate candidates for the job, legitimately discussed for the job. Then last Thursday we did the first, and obviously Matt Langel's an outside candidate, but we did the first really further afield candidate when we talked about Brian Hodgson. Even though he's a New York guy, he's currently USF's head coach, and we explored that way. I've told you on this list of who's next options that this music that the owl created in AI remains spectacular. I've told you on this list of who's next options that we have some options that I'm going to put on here because you keep bringing them up, even though me keep saying not a chance in hell. but we're going to explore them anyway. And sometimes when you go who's next, we got to figure out who isn't next, even though they are a great coach. One of the best of all time. Some would argue the best of all time. So today, who's next? One, Rick Pitino, the current head coach of the St. John's Red Storm, who on this past Friday night at Madison Square Garden in a fantastic game with Connecticut ended up outdueling them and winning it late, moving Rick past Bobby Knight, and he is now third, I believe, on the NCAA all-time coaching wins list behind some guy named Mike Krzyzewski and some guy in second place named James Arthur Boeheim. Rick Pitino now third. So who's next for Syracuse basketball? I keep hearing this, and I keep hearing it loudly from multiple people on the Syracuse wherever, that Rick Pitino should be the next Syracuse basketball head coach. And I will agree that Rick Pitino's a great coach. Rick Pitino's won wherever he's been. Rick Pitino has gone to the tournament wherever he's been. That was BU, and then that was Providence, and then that was Kentucky. He did not go to the tournament when he was in the NBA with the Knicks because, he was with the Knicks. And then, or the Celtics, either his stops there. He went to the tournament, won the championship with Louisville as well, on top of the one with Kentucky. Got back in the game at Iona, made the tournament there. Now he's at St. John's, and he's in the top 10 once again, and obviously made the tournament. Here's the thing about Rick Pitino. Yes, he's a great coach. Yes, if you want to go Syracuse ties, technically there are Syracuse ties. Rick was the first hire made by Jim Boeheim way back in 1976. Yeah, Rick was the first hire. We've all heard the stories. He put him on a plane, sent him out to go make sure they locked up Louis Orr. We've all heard the stories. He was at his, he hired him on his wedding night. We know the deal. The story is famous. The story is great. Rick Pitino will not be the next head coach of Syracuse basketball. Why? It just does not make sense, essentially, for any of the parties involved. Yes, Rick Pitino's a great coach. Yes, he can win and does win and will win at every destination. But look at what he's done here. Rick's 73 years old. If Syracuse hires Rick Pitino, he will be 74 years old when he coaches his first basketball game in the Dome for the Orange. Obviously, he's coached in the Dome many, many times before at many locales in many places. I mean, Syracuse, Jim Boeheim coached against Rick Pitino in the Final Four at multiple schools, right? Jim beat him when he was at Providence in 87. Jim lost to him in the title game in 96. They were both in the Final Four again in 2013 in the title that Louisville won and then got taken away, and I think now technically they can celebrate again or something. But Rick Pitino's 74 years old. It does not make sense for Syracuse in a look to the future, set things up for the future kind of way, to hire a 74-year-old that is on, he's not on the back nine of his career. He's playing the 18th right now. Jim Boeheim hired him in 1976. That was 50 years ago. 50. Great coach. Don't hire a 74-year-old. It just doesn't make sense to me. On the other side of things, to your point, Big Tuna. Shout out, Big Tuna. Rick Pitino at St. John's has some serious billionaire NIL support. Why am I blanking on the dude's name? St. John's NIL billionaire. Mike Rapoli, yes. He's the vitamin water guy, right? Who also is a he's also racing, quite legitimately. He owns Kentucky Derby horses. He doesn't just own horses. He owns legitimate Derby horses. This guy's got more money than he knows what to do with, and what he likes to do with some of his money now is he likes to give it to Rick Pitino so he can go get players for St. John's. Rick Pitino's in New York City. Rick's always been, regardless of wherever Rick has actually lived in life, Rick has always given off the New York City vibe. Now he's in New York City coaching St. John's. It just doesn't make a lick of sense to me for Rick Pitino to be the next Syracuse basketball head coach. Will they explore it? I have no idea. It also would be very expensive. I think Rick is signed for it's 3 to 4 more years already at St. John's. Yeah, they got an NIL guy that's literally going to be spending, quote, in an article I'm looking at right now, quote, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. So, for all of you out there that keep suggesting Rick Pitino, and the list has been long, because this is a name, a fella furta to your point, like, it would have been better in 2023. Maybe. Like, if you had hired Rick 3 years ago when he was 71 and gave him this home stretch job of his career, which he could have done for 6 or 7 years at that point, like, okay, I probably could have talked myself into it. Why? Because he's a great coach. We all know he's a great coach, and we all know that he wins wherever he goes. And if you gave him the job when he was 70, 71, you got a little more runway on it. Say he coaches out at St. John's for the rest of his contract until he's 76, 77, and then he retires. Like, if you got that out of Rick here, you got 6 years, and you set the stage for the future and set up whatever a succession plan is going to be and the whole thing, then maybe it works. But if you're Syracuse right now, I think you just got to be looking at a lower age bracket. Like, somebody DM'd this to me the other day, and this goes in the same category. This is even crazier than Rick Pitino. Rick's at least actively coaching a current top 10 team. Like, if you want to say, all right, what are his current bona fides? He's coaching a top 10 team who just played one of the games of the year and beat UConn. Yeah, I don't even know if he did move with the St. John's job to an obviously Iona is right outside New York City. I don't know what his current living situation is, but like he's on the home stretch. He's on the home stretch. St. John's is a perfect final stop for the very long, very winding, very wild Rick Pitino saga. Yeah, like the Iona to St. John, like it all just feels written in a book. Like this is the perfect final chapter to it. But I keep hearing suggestion of guys that fit in this category. So let's handle all of them now. Rick Pitino, on the list of guys you could classify as this. And Rick is the best of the guys you would classify as this. Older guys, national championship, whatever. Out of all of them, I'd say he's the most likely to come to Syracuse, and I'd still put the chances right around 0. But what did I get the other day? I got John Beilein the other day. Well, John's the same age as Rick. John was a great coach for many, many years at West Virginia and Michigan. Then he went to the NBA, which made 0 sense to me at the time other than the payday, and the results made perfect sense. A complete flop in the NBA was Beilein. Obviously, Beilein coached at Lemoyne many moons ago. John Beilein is in his mid-70s and hasn't coached since 2020. And people are like, yeah, just toss John Beilein in there. Like, what world are we in? John Beilein he's retired. He is a retired man. And you're like, yeah, toss John Beilein in there. Like, some other crazies from this realm, people are talking, somebody just tossed out Billy Donovan in the chat. Yeah, Billy Donovan did win back-to-back national championships in Florida. And now he's been coaching in the NBA for 15-plus years. He's getting paid crazy well. He's not coming to Syracuse. Jay Wright, former national champion. Like, Jay gets to wear his nice suits and sit up there on a comfy desk at CBS and make good coin and not have to deal with NIL and all that stuff. Jay Wright not coming to Syracuse. Like, none of those guys. Coach K, Roy Williams, Jim Boeheim, I don't know who else we need to name of national championship head coaches. Bruce Pearl's not coming to Syracuse. Like, people keep saying Seth Greenberg. Seth Greenberg's very content with his gig at ESPN. Also, Seth Greenberg couldn't make the tournament when he was a head coach. Like, we're going to hire Seth Greenberg now? Like, none of these guys make sense to me for a wide variety of reasons. Either their success was 8 million years ago, Either they're too old, either it just doesn't make sense, either they'd cost way too much. Like none of the guys in this age bracket, not to be an ageist here, it just doesn't make sense to me that that is the route you'd want to go if you're Syracuse. It's hard to plan for the very, very, very long future in these days in college sports, which is why you can sort of talk yourself into it. Like the idea of going into it saying, hey, we're going to hire the next Jim Boeheim and have this set for decades. Like, even if you hire a guy as young as Jim was when he got the job, it's impossible to guarantee anything like that for the future. But I think with this hire, you at least want to give yourself the chance, right? The opportunity to hire somebody that'll have some legs, that'll be able to, hopefully come in with a spark of energy and turn it around quickly, and then be at Syracuse as a destination job for a while. That's the hope. I don't know if it's possible in this day and age of college sports anymore, but it's certainly the hope. And a guy like Pitino, while out of all of the coaches we discuss in this list, and I'll toss guys like into this pile of guys that, ain't coming to Syracuse. Nate Oates. Talking about Nate Oates just makes me want to cough. Guys like Nate Oates. You realize how much money Nate Oates is making in Alabama right now? I'm stacking the money out the top of the screen. Like, Nate Oates isn't leaving an SEC job right now. Come to Syracuse because you think you have claim on him because he once coached 3 hours down the road in Buffalo. Like, you're not getting a guy like that. What did I hear? Like in this realm, a young guy, an exciting young head coach, Bucky Ball down in Texas A&M. Bucky McMillan, a fantastic young coach. The Aggies look great this year. All right, like Syracuse should want to hire a coach that is like Bucky McMillan. You think Texas A&M can't afford to outbid Syracuse for Bucky McMillan? If the Orange came in and tried to roll up the Brinks truck, Texas A&M would be like, well, let's just somebody open an oil well up. We'll pay this guy. We'll pay this guy. I do think an older guy in their 60s. Yeah, like I'm not ruling out all of the old guy. I'm just saying, like, I don't want a guy like Pitino who is literally knocking on the door of retirement. Like, people saying John Beilein. John Beilein's been retired for more than half a decade. Now, yeah, Tom Thibodeau coming to college. I say you talk about like a guy like Tibbs. Tibbs would do exactly what Syracuse fans have been yearning for this year. Tibbs runs a very specific system. Tibbs has never been a college coach, to my understanding. I don't know. A guy like that actually is a college coach that's had great success is probably Tony Bennett, right? Tony Bennett is not coming to Syracuse, right? Like Tony Bennett just like I'm not dealing with this crap anymore. And if you think Tony Bennett, maybe Tony comes back to the game at some point. I can't imagine Tony would come back and take another ACC job and have to compete directly against Virginia. Jeff Goodman just endorsed Brian Hodgson. Here's what's interesting about Hodgson, and this is totally rumor and conjecture and whatnot. Let me look up our guy Jeff Goodman. We'll get Reds ACC Zoom coming up here in just a few minutes. What did Jeff Goodman have to say about life? Jeff Goodman. 2 minutes ago, Brian Hodgson in his first season as South Florida in first place in the American after beating Tulsa yesterday. The Bulls, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Man, this is a long tweet. If/when Syracuse makes a move on Red Autry, I'd expect Hodgson, who is from just outside of Buffalo, to be in the mix. Back to Hodgson, who we talked about in this segment, Who's Next last Thursday, courtesy of Big Tuna's birthday pick. And this again, am I grasping at straws or am I seeing a clean picture here? I don't know. There's rumblings out there that Hodgson, for some reason, has ties to the Lally family. I don't know how or why. And obviously, the Lally family has donated a crap ton of money to the athletic department for the building of all the facilities and whatnot. They haven't been heavily involved in NIL as of yet. But I will say this. All of the Lally social media accounts follow all my stuff. I think it's Laura, maybe John sometimes. Whatever. Doesn't really matter. And, they'll click like on a lot of things and whatnot. It was very conspicuous. On the Brian Hodgson, is it because they're involved at USF? On the yeah, they do live down in Florida. On the Brian Hodgson stuff I tweeted on Thursday, they all got liked by the Lally Foundation Twitter account. If you wanna engage in a fun conspiracy theory, that's a fun conspiracy theory. But if you want to talk about a thing that connects point A to point B, that helps people get jobs in scenarios and stuff like that, I can sew that thread together in a way that makes sense and might also lead to NIL money from them to the basketball program in a way that it doesn't currently exist, because they're more obviously football donors right now. So, am I saying any of that's gonna happen? No, but it's that's not nothing. I find that more something. So there we are, a little who's next here on this Monday, where today we've more told you who's not next. And Rick Pitino, this guy, Rick Pitino right there, he is he's not next. As much as it could be intriguing in a variety of different ways, like Rick Pitino is not going to be who's next at Syracuse, nor many other of the suggestions in that same ilk. FLJ mentioning that, yeah, Hodgson and Oates were at Buffalo when FLJ was there. Well, yeah, but I'm saying, hey, Kev, if we're gonna put let's just assume Brian Hodgson is a name that comes up because he would be a credible candidate. Like a guy that you could easily put in that position, right? But if he can be put in that position and has connections, well, if you want to go for it, that really helps get you in position for stuff like that. Stuff like that makes sense to me in a lot of different ways. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where that all goes. I don't know. But I think it's interesting. Now we're waiting Reds weekly ACC Zoom. We gotta get things situated for that. Do I have the right thing up? I think so. I don't know. View. Hang on. Yeah, full screen. There we are. I don't see red as of yet, but we'll get to that as where's my Zoom thing? I don't even know. Where? Don't I have a... Pardon me while I'm looking at the stuff to make sure that we're all good for Red, assuming he's going to be on this call here at some point. Here, we'll look at... there's Andy. He's the SID for men's basketball for the ACC. Andy's got a good lookout over the situation. I see Chris Carlson waiting there to ask a question. All right. Thibodeau, I can't imagine they hire a guy like Thibodeau, or that Thibodeau would want a college job. Man, Thibodeau, the idea of Thibodeau in college is interesting because in the league he grinds guys into dust, but in college they'd be gone so fast that, who knows? Who knows? Hodgson only has a $1 million buyout. Yeah, that guy's going to be in play, right? He's a youngish guy. He's doing really well. He's going to be in play. He's going to be in play. Yeah, FLJ was all over the lot in that one. Yeah, those schools don't get negative. Hey, did anyone see Louisville 3 years ago? 2 years ago? Yeah. The reason they weren't negative is because nobody was there. Nobody was there. waiting for Red on a Monday. Yeah, the Alex Klein part of it, I think, is to be fascinating. Like, if I'm the next head coach, I need to talk to Alex and make sure it's a guy you don't want to completely wash out. Did I have a birthday dinner? I did have dinner on my birthday. We went with Chinese on my birthday, Kev. Was not feeling well on the birthday at all, so we were kind of loopy, but we accomplished it. All right, here's Red. I see Red.
If you've got a question for Coach Autry, use the raise hand tool. If you just joined us and need access to record, please let me know and I can get that access.
Red not centered in the frame, but that's okay here.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering with Kyan, how do you kind of go about balancing his minutes when, some metrics may suggest he's not playing so well, but, also with all the outside noise that comes with, not playing him?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the constant communication, and obviously, as a coach, you got to make some decisions sometimes, and sometimes it's just a decision that you make. Like I said, it was a game decision. It wasn't anything more than that. I just kind of made a decision, and that was that. So again, obviously, constant communication. He's a young player. Obviously, with a lot of attention surrounding him. So just being able to, keep him abreast of what's going on, the expectations and the loops in the loop, and just kind of moving on and getting ready for this next game. And that's really what it is just getting ready for the next game. Can't do anything about, the past. You got to worry about what's ahead of you.
I don't. This is a tough spot for Red. Like, what are you gonna do in this spot?
No, I have not. No. So just getting ready for the next game.
That was Have You Talked to Mello?
Adrian, you mentioned it's a basketball decision. With it coming on the heels of kind of Carmelo's comments, were you concerned that Kyan would understand that? And did you do anything to make sure that he did understand it wasn't like a punishment thing?
I'll say this, and this is what I'll say if anybody else has any questions going forward about the Kyan decision or the game. I made a coach's decision. That's all I'm going to say from here on out about that. I want to ask questions about the game. I'll answer questions about the game or things moving forward, and things like that. But again, that was a decision that I made, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
I feel bad with him dealing with this stuff. Like, what is he going to do?
To where, he will be playing more regularly.
Good follow-up.
Everybody has to keep improving. We have to keep improving. I think, where we all have to improve as a team collectively. Obviously, I thought we defended really well, well enough against Virginia. Saw some improvements there. I think, offensively, we still got to be able to. We got to shoot the ball better. We got to take care of the basketball, and I think collectively that's what we all have to get better at.
Yeah, Coach, you benched the players, been playing terrible. Why?
Hey, Adrian, wanted to ask about Coach Felicia at Jack's comments after yesterday's women's basketball game, kind of talking about the negativity on social media surrounding, Syracuse basketball right now. Just wanted to get your perspective on that and just what it's really been like for you to go through the ups and downs of, another up and down season.
Yeah, I think negativity, frustration. I understand that. This is again, I played here. I understand that. I understand the frustration. I understand the negativity, or I call it frustration. And they have a right to be frustrated. Obviously, we're not. I'm frustrated. I expect us to be playing better. But we are where we at, and we just got to keep fighting. So again, I understand it. I think the biggest thing is that I think her comments were saying that negativity has never really got anything better. But again, she understands it. She said, and I see she's had some ups and downs. It's part of it. As we go through this. Through the landscape of college athletics and things that are changing, everyone has to adapt. We have to adapt. We're not, immune to it. And, we're just putting our heads down and just trying to work and get back to where we would like to be at. And that's always the goal. And, and again, so the fans, I understand their frustration. So, for me, it's just really pouring into my team. I'm just putting my head down and trying to pour into these players, pour into this team, and try to get us going on the right track.
The real answer is I wish she hadn't said that so I didn't have to answer that question.
Yeah, Red, Chris Bell returns to the Dome on Wednesday night.
All the hits.
I was wondering, like, what were the conversations with him last spring when he was making the decision to enter the portal? Any efforts to try to keep him, just, whatever those conversations were like. And then just kind of what you see in him this year as a senior out at Cal.
I think Chris is playing really well. I think he's a senior. He's shooting the ball. I think he's doing some other things a lot better. I think he's putting it on the floor a little bit more. He's having a good year. They're having a good year. They're confident. They're coming in a confident team. They played really well on the road. I think Chris is a little bit more mature. But again, I think Chris is having a really solid season for Cal.
And that the first part of the question about the conversations last spring when he was making the decision to enter the portal, how were they?
I mean, they had he explored his options and talked about that, and he did the thing that was best for him.
Nick Evans, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Coach. This freshman class, Kyan, Sadiq, Luke, the group was obviously pretty hyped up coming into the season. Where do you think they are in terms of their development? Do you think that, they're sort of where you'd like them to be as a group, or, do you think that, would you say you want more out of them in some way?
I wouldn't say that. I think they are, they're freshmen, they're talented freshmen. I think the biggest thing now, and today, especially when you play in these Power Four teams, is that teams are a lot older. And so, I think the physicality piece, the games are all, you're playing tough games in a non-conference now, so I think they've come along, nicely. Obviously, everyone has to improve. And, I think the strength, the physicality piece, all those things factor in. But, I think they've really, done as good as they could.
Last question will go to Aiden Stepanski.
Hey, Coach. Obviously beyond Chris, just looking at Cal, pretty good 3-point shooting team. Just what are you guys going to have to do to kind of get back on track?
Yeah, I think, you're going to have to be able to defend that 3-point line defensively, for sure. They have, not just Chris Bell, they have multiple guys, and they do a good job of getting into that mid-range. Their guards are very efficient, Pippen and Ames, of getting off the bounce, and probably the two better guards that can score off the bounce. So, keeping the ball in front, making them take contested shots, not letting them get to the free throw line, and defending the 3-point line. And I think offensively, we just have to be able to, they're an aggressive team. We got to be strong with the ball, take care of the ball, and make solid decisions.
Coach, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
There he is. Red Autry. Scintillating as always here. I said I just feel bad for Red with stuff like that. Like what are you gonna say? What are you gonna do? There's just nothing that you can reasonably say or do there that's going to be all that helpful in any circumstance, right? Like what can you do? What can you say? And yeah, just a really tough spot to be in if you're Red, getting those questions. The Carmelo ones are like, what even are you gonna do on that? What are you even gonna do? And fellow Ferde, yeah, for all of the, well, why don't you just go ahead and fire him? Okay, like if you're Syracuse, do you want somebody else? Like, who do you want having to answer those questions? The guy that you're gonna clean out in a month, or not? Like, as bad as it is for Red, like, yeah, that's part of the deal with the money you're making and the money you're gonna get and whatever. That you're gonna take the bullets on the Cayenne question. right now. Yeah, Red handled that as well as he could have. It's just, it is uncomfortable. And I'd say Mike's questions are, that's just standard getting ready for the game questions, and this is the opportunity he has to talk to Red about that before the start of the game. So I'd say this is actually like Mike Waters questions, this is exactly the forum you ask questions like those in. So it's a situation where, like, if you're Red, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't at this point. And the only thing that changes anything right now is winning a crap ton of games going forward. And I think we all know the realistic nature of that isn't that high at the moment. Isn't that high? Like, could they catch fire and win a bunch of games going forward? I mean, technically they could. They haven't not done it yet. I think I wish the student that asked the other question about the freshman, I wish he had almost explored that one from a slightly different angle, because, and a lot of you mentioned this on social media after the game. Obviously, all of the talk after the game was about Cayenne not playing. Sadiq only played 2 minutes on Saturday. Sadiq only played 2 minutes. Where in the previous few games, talk about Donnie not starting the one game and all that, a lot of that, it felt like, was because we'd heard, of, what was it, the NC State game. Like, Sadiq was the only one that gave effort, whatever. Like, Sadiq's out there, he's a foul a minute, but he's at least running around doing stuff. So, it's a tough spot there for Red. And, yeah, Red knows the deal, right? It's got to be, I don't know what chance he would have of coming back next year at this point. 5%? I mean, it's got to be extremely low. It's got to be extremely low of whatever chance he'd have of coming back next year. We'll get into Chris Bell's season. We get into no wrong answers here in just a few minutes as we get you ready for Syracuse and Cal. It's a Wednesday night game in the Dome. Before I do that, I got to pull up Chris's stats last year and this year. We got to do a little side by side on Bell just to see where he's at from his extremely Chris Bell stats. How about Chris Bunch? That would be great if he transferred. He went back. He became Chris Bunch again. If he was just like, no, I'm not Chris Bell anymore. This is a different Chris Bell. This is the Louisville wide receiver Chris Bell. Wrong Chris Bell. Wrong Chris Bell. That guy was good, but wrong guy. Wrong dude. Not the right guy. Yeah, just looking at his numbers, they're not. I mean, he scored a little more this year, but it's. Yeah, he's the same guy. He's essentially the same guy. Kind of like Chris Bell without the 3-point shooting. Oh man, Chris Bell! What a time in our lives. The Chris Bell three. Man, I forgot he averaged 12 points a game his sophomore year at Cuse. Chris Bell did. Shot 42% from three. Huh. That all happened. That all happened in our lifetime. Chris Bell. Who knew? Who knew? But I feel bad for Red when you come into that and you're gonna get the Cayenne question, the Chris Bell question, and then I know Felicia last night is trying to do good, right? I know she's trying to defend her guy in Red Autry, but unfortunately for Red, all that did was, and I agree with Red framing it as frustration instead of negative. Elijah Moore left Utah already? Is that a fact? I stopped paying attention to Choppa. We may have to do a segment trying to catch up on all those guys at some point in a live of the 315 to come. Just do a little roundup. It wouldn't be a little roundup. It'd be a large roundup on all the guys that have gone out and about and all over the place. But what Felicia was trying to do yesterday after her team had a rough loss to Louisville was defend Red. And unfortunately, all it did was end up with making Red answer that question today, which did nothing to help him. Like, nothing she said is going to change anything. I don't think anybody's going to listen to Felicia and be like, oh, all right, maybe we should go give Red a hug. Like, Red understands that's not going to happen. I think Red understands that most people aren't, like, mad at him. They're frustrated that Syracuse basketball isn't Syracuse basketball. Syracuse basketball has missed the tournament. It's going to be 6 straight years this year. That's not Syracuse basketball. That's a problem. That's a problem. Why does Lala no longer attend games? I don't know. Maybe she'll be there this week. Lala and Mello have busy schedules. I don't know what Lala's day to day looks like. Though, yeah, Lala's been there less recently than Mello has been there. We'll have to keep an eye out on Wednesday to see if either are in attendance. But like, Red knows the deal here. Like, a lot of people have accused Red. Oh, Red's dumb. Red's not dumb. He knows they are not doing what they need to do. Now, I'm going to guess Red probably thinks the reasons why are maybe differently that we think. Like, a lot of us are putting it like, hey, like, the coaching is clearly a problem. And Red's been trying 8 million different things. The one thing Red can't think is that, well, I need to be moved out of here. Like, he's got to try to fix it with him there. So, but again, part of being the head coach is you get those questions. And you deal with it, and that's the gig. That's the gig. And, that's why Boeheim was so fascinating for many, many years, because he relished those questions. He'd call people that asked those questions idiots or whatever, the whole thing. Like, he was up for the game. As much as he made it seem like he hated it, he loved it, but it hated it, and whatever, all of it at once. And it was a fascinating dynamic for 45 years. Like, Red's just getting ground into dust over there. I mean, Red is aging like a president. He just looks so old. What do I think Red thinks the issue is? I don't know, Autry, because I think a lot of the issue is Red. But if you're Red, can you think that? Can you go into it and say, well, it was me? Like, if you go into it like that, what do you do? And he's been, I don't know. I think what I'd love to know, and what we'll never really know, is, like, clearly what the team is doing is not working. It feels like Red must be telling him to do at least somewhat different stuff than what they're doing, and stuff is getting lost in communication, lost in translation. Is there any chance, and I'm going to guess the answer is no, that what Red is telling them actually is the right answer, and somehow he's just not telling it in a way that is working? The answer is probably no, but, like, that's the only way that, like, all right, is he just not good at communicating it to the team? I don't know, because clearly, public communication anyway, like, of the list of things he's good at, it's not his strongest suit. And it's not, like, it's very weird, because basketball coach is not until you're a head coach, like, assistant basketball coach is not a front-facing position. And then you get to be the head coach, especially at a job like Syracuse, and you are, boom, like, you're on the platform, you're on the pedestal, and you are front and center to the world. It's a very, very big change. We saw that with the Seahawks last night, Mike McDonald, right? They talked randomly. Maria Taylor interviewed him after the game. I guess they were high school classmates in Georgia. That's kind of wild. They had both made their first Super Bowl podium together. But she said to him, like, I know you don't like being in the spotlight, but, like, if you're an NFL head coach who just won the Super Bowl, you in there, you got to say words. That's kind of how it goes. It's a fantastic dynamic how all that stuff works. It's just, yeah. Oh, yeah, I totally agree with you, Sean Lewis. But, like, if you're Red, do you think you're sitting there? Like, I don't know. Like, are you sitting there? It's like, man. Like, is he sitting in his office right now being like, man, got out schemed on Saturday? Maybe. But, yeah, we haven't really seen it get fixed, which is the unfortunate part. And that's why what's going to happen in a month or whenever it is feels extremely inevitable right now, because we have 3 years of evidence on it at the moment, and it's only going to keep growing, and it feels like the losses are only going to keep piling up and all that good stuff, and then the inevitable will happen, and then this series of who's next will perhaps have led us in the right direction of where we're supposed to be looking down the line. But I can tell you exactly what is next for this Syracuse basketball team. And what is next for the Syracuse basketball team is that they will be taking on Cal on Wednesday in the Dome, and we should probably find out what's going to happen.
Hi, Mason again. It's time to find out exactly what's going to happen in the next Syracuse game. This is No Wrong Answers. Here's Brian.
Alrighty, Syracuse and Cal next up for the Orange, coming up on Wednesday evening inside the Dome. That's a 7 o'clock tip for Syracuse. Is this an ACC network joint? What's our TV situation on Wednesday? ESPN2. Oh. Huh? How did this rate ESPN2? What a question. Cal, what's Cal's deal? Cal is so far out of, like, has anybody watched Cal play this year? I haven't seen Cal play a second of live basketball this year. I haven't seen anything. They're 17-7 overall. They're 5-6 in the league. So they're fine-ish. What's I haven't checked the net rankings in a while either, just because it's not really been worth the time. Where's Cal at in the net rankings? Let's do our pointless net rankings. Look here. Let's find where Cal is at. Where's Cal at in the net rankings? Cal is SMU coming in on Saturday is 34th in the net rankings. Cal is 60th. So, like, Cal is a very, very outside bubble team right now that if they picked up some big wins down the stretch, they could maybe think about playing their way into contention. I'd say Cal is kind of where Syracuse was 2 years ago, or they're not going to make the tournament, but, they're at least hanging around with a chance. Go figure, Cal at 16-7 is 60th in the net rankings. Syracuse at 13-11, nowhere near anything, is 68th in the net rankings right now. And, yeah, kind of tells you how we just don't really need to be looking at the net rankings anymore when it comes to Syracuse. So Cal is fine, but you talk about games remaining on the schedule. This is probably the second or third most likely game for Syracuse to be able to win the rest of the way. If we're looking at the Syracuse schedule the rest of the way, I'd put this in the top. Now, what are there? There's only 8. How many games are there left? 8 games? 7 games? Time is ticking down. How many games are there left in the season? The Orange are 4-7 in the league, so there's 7 games left in the regular season. You look at games remaining. SMU Saturday, it's home, but SMU's better than Cal. Then your big Monday at Duke, good luck to you. North Carolina's in the Dome the Saturday after that, good luck to you. Wake Forest on the road, I'd say would be a slightly easier game on a neutral site, but that's road versus this one at home. Then you're at Louisville, yeah, and then Pitt's in the Dome. That's got to be the easiest game remaining on the schedule. Could be fascinating considering it will be the last game of the regular season. But, like, if you're going to basically, I'm looking at today, like, if you're going to win a game before literally the final day of February when they go down to Wake Forest, like, of your next 4, this is clearly your best shot with Cal, SMU, Duke, and North Carolina coming up here in the game on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock in the Dome. So, no wrong answers. Let's get into it from a Syracuse perspective. And, like, where even do we start anymore? Donnie Freeman, I guess, but Donnie is, Donnie's, I don't know what Donnie's deal is now. Like, Donnie's first few games back from injury, I get you were playing lower echelon teams in the league, but, like, Donnie was getting stuff, but other people were getting stuff, and the ball, was it moving a lot? No, but it was getting to places where it needed it to be. Now it feels like either it's a Donnie possession or it's not a Donnie possession. Like, when Donnie gets the ball, and I realize he had 4 assists last game, but it doesn't feel like it. When Donnie gets the ball, the possession is ending with Donnie, and, vice versa. When he doesn't get the ball, clearly it's not going to him, going back out, whatever. When it goes to Donnie, it's staying with Donnie. That needs to change for Syracuse to have more success. It just doesn't feel like that's going to change anytime soon. Donnie will score like he always gets his. I'm going to go 17-7 for Donnie, but again, a 17-7 I'm not extremely enthused about in this game. No wrong answers. JJ Starling, I don't know. Like, what even to expect from JJ these days anymore? Yeah, it's like he's going to score as well, but inefficient. 13 points for JJ, but shooting percentage hovering around 40. Just feels like where it is. Kiyan Anthony, no wrong answers. Kiyan Anthony will play in the game. No wrong answers. I don't think he'll play well, but Kiyan Anthony will play. Sadiq White, fellow freshman, he will also play. Sadiq will play more than 2 minutes in the game on Wednesday. So there we have that. No wrong answers. Where else to go? The Nates. Nate George actually was our Wildbirds Unlimited Big Air Player of the Game last game. He was the only guy that really stepped up and played well last time out at Virginia. I think let's slide it back in the other direction a little bit in this game. Nate Kings, NAIT. Nate George, NAIT. These Nates. I'll figure it out one day or another. Nate George, the point guard. 9 points, 7 assists, 6 turnovers. The turnovers are just hard to avoid with the way he plays. Nate Kings, 12 points for Nate Kings. Solid game for Nate Kings. That's just usually my prediction. Solid game for Nate Kings. William Kyle in this game. I think Kyle's been on the struggle bus against some bigger physical teams the last few games. I think he'll bounce back a little bit in this game. Cal's not coming at you with necessarily the most rumble-tumble team. You know, like Chris Bell will be a guy that's maybe trying to get rebounds. Yeah. So William Kyle, we'll go 12 points and 8 boards in this game. Then let's do a little no wrong answers for Chris Bell. Let's do a little no wrong answers for Chris Bell. What do we even do with Chris Bell? I want to look at Chris Bell's game by game this year. Chris is averaging 13 points, a career high. Chris is shooting 36% from 3, which is about right over the course of his career. But, yeah, he's still not rebounding. Like, Chris Bell is being Chris Bell. Like, the stats are showing me the same exact Chris Bell, essentially, that we watched for the last few years. He's just getting a few more minutes and a few more attempts. So it's the same guy. Like, I look at it, yeah, he's double figures a lot of games. Rebounds, he had a 6, a 7, a 6. But looking at his rebounds, yeah, he's not getting you past 3 or 4 for the most part. Rebounds, assists, 0, 0, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0. But he has 5 straight games of double-figure scoring right now. He has 4 straight games, with multiple made threes after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games prior to that with 1 or 0 made threes. Like, it feels to me, no wrong answers, Chris Bell. Like, is there a middle ground for Chris today between 3 and 30? Like, his season high is 28. He popped 28 on Morgan State, 27 on Kansas State earlier this season. Got Louisville for 20 and a couple other 20-point games early in the season. He's not hit 20 this year. His last 20-point game was the 30th of December. It feels like Chris is either going off or not doing anything. I don't know if a revenge game felt to me like Quadir Copeland. Like a revenge game was Q. And man, he was great. A Chris Bell revenge game, I'm not feeling that vibe. It's like, I think Chris Bell will be in attendance. I think we'll see the same exact Chris Bell we've always seen. 6 points for Chris, 2 made threes, 1 rebound, and a couple of disinterested stares. Chris Bell. That said, Cal has some other people. Syracuse has famous children. So does Cal. They last year had Peja Stojakovic's kid. He's now killing it. Andre at Illinois, he transferred. Now they have one of Scottie Pippen's kids. They've got Justin Pippen, who's doing very well right now. So the Orange will have to watch out for that. All right, no wrong answers. Let's put it in the blender. Let's spit it out and see what kicks out for this game, Syracuse and Cal, on Wednesday night. I think it's going to be close. But Syracuse just doesn't have the whatever you need right now to pull out a close game late. No wrong answers. Final score, Cal 78, Syracuse 74. the Orange lose to the Bears on Wednesday. After the game, as always, you're in the right place here on YouTube. Join us post-game for the post-game show. That's when you put the post-game show. We'll be live. We'll get Red's post-game press conference. We'll take your live calls and all that fantastic stuff we always do right after the game. That will be live right here on Wednesday. And that is a little bit of no wrong answers here today. As far as the rest of our upcoming schedule, as we put the wraps on it here today, we'll be back on the next live show is postgame Wednesday. 2 shows Thursday. We're live in the 315 at 11, or perhaps slightly delayed if my, standard 6-month cleaning at the old dentist goes long. Yeah, somehow that's at 10. We're gonna get them in and out. We're gonna start this puppy on time. I think we'll try on Thursday. Then myself and Jordan TPS report Thursday night. Friday night, Lax postgame 1 versus 2, Houston, Maryland. Saturday will be postgame hoops for Syracuse, SMU as basketball side of things. So there we are. Thanks for everyone hopping on live in the 315 on this frigid, chilly Monday morning. We've heard from Red. We've told you why Rick Pitino is not who's next. And we've examined the upcoming Orange basketball game with Syracuse and Cal. All right, everybody, stay warm. Have a great day. Talk again on Wednesday.
Thanks for watching the 315 with Brian Higgins. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn your notifications on. We'll see you next time.